We're going to have Pheano Black, Prism, fresh off of his finals appearance in Indianapolis of Prism. He's playing against Jacob Baugh, playing Chane. Jacob Baugh, multiple top 8s in the last few months, including a very nice top 8 at the national championships in Orlando. He's mostly almost always playing Runeblade or Starvo, so he's kind of a best deck guy, which I like a lot. He's got a lot of success in another card game and some other card games as well. Just really, really good player. We see you, Pheano. I saw that. ever the showman.
Yeah, yep, 100%. And, you know, I like seeing Chane here, right? Chane was one of the heroes that I think was a favorite going into this weekend, and we really haven't seen him perform as well as a lot of folks anticipated, right? I know personally I thought Chane was going to be a little bit more represented and perform a little bit well. And, you know, Chane has still been putting up some numbers, but not quite what others have been expecting. So we do have a good old belittle Minnowism turn here.
It looks like we're picking up the red Minnowism as well. For everybody at home, belittle goes and finds Minnowism. Generally, you're going to get 2 different flavors of this. We don't have the deck list in front of us, but there'll be a red one and there'll be some blue ones.
Yes.
The red one's going to pump up your next spell, your next attacks. The blue one is just when you need some more resources and stuff. So it gives you a little bit of flexibility. This is something you don't see a ton of in Flesh and Blood, but the decks that can do it, they do some really cool stuff with their tutor effects. You know?
Yeah. I mean, Chane is a deck that I actually played a good chunk of leading up to this event. I had some friends who were competing in the Pro Tour, and they were like, yeah, let's play some Chane. So the belittle package is always a little contentious. Like you said, depends on the list here. But regardless of that, we do have a good old classic bounding Demagon coming in here, getting pumped up by that Minnowism.
Now, it seems really good, right? The belittle Minnowism pack seems really good, seems really powerful. It seems pretty low cost, right, as well, to put into your deck and have this kind of engine that's pretty good. The reason it can get contentious is Chane players are known for pitch stacking their deck.
Yes.
Early in the game, you're pitching cards. You know, we saw this a couple of rounds earlier really come into play. Where you're setting up the bottom of your deck, and since you're using Soul Shackle so much, which removes cards from the top of your deck, you get to the bottom very, very often in most of your games. So pitch stacking becomes very important. If you're using cards like Belittle Minnowism, that shuffles your deck. Therefore, pitch stacking, not as relevant.
It's a little bit like fly by the seat of your pants kind of playing there. And we do see Pheano here kind of matching Jacob like tit for tat. He's like, you know, Jacob's, I'm going to come in here, but Pheano's like, I got the defense reactions. Following up his Soul Shield with a good old opt defense reaction, setting up and sculpting a future turn.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Pheano Black approaches this matchup. Classically, Prism has just tried to fatigue Chane. Lots of defensive reactions. They may get an attack in here or there, but they just want to set up to not take a bunch of damage. We see there are some auras in Pheano's hand if he wants to start going that route, but maybe he's going to get some Herald spam going in, push a little bit of damage. Maybe you can win a game that way, but sometimes they try to go toe-to-toe with Chane through the entire game. You know, Tyler Horspool made that strategy really, really popular on his way to winning the calling in Las Vegas, beating the menace that was Chane there by just fatiguing most of them out.
Yeah, and so we have a blue Herald of Triumph coming in just for 5 here, but it does threaten an on-hit effect. And, you know, going into the Soul is kind of a big deal for Prism here. And it looks like we will have a Prism activation, creating a Spectral Shield token. I imagine we'll be seeing a lot of those this game. Also, I want to note that Jacob is also running the Time Skippers that Matt Rogers was running in the last match. Now, we didn't see it activate there, but we could see it activate here. And we have we do have a hit on the Soul Shackle trigger. This is an Unhallowed Rites, which is a great. It's a card you want to see, right? It's a card you want to see banished this early. You know, maybe it's great to apply some early pressure here. And it looks like Jacob is considering just slamming down another Soul Shackle right off the bat, giving his next Runeblade or Shadow attack action go again.
Yeah, so it's pretty important. I'm going to try to paint the picture for everybody here at home if this is new to you or you're not exactly sure how Chane works. So Chane is a once per turn action where you create a Soul Shackle token, and it gives your next Runeblade or Shadow action this turn go again. So that's pretty powerful, right? Inherent go again is something that Runeblade's kind of known for, getting to attack multiple times. At the beginning of your turn, though, for however many Soul Shackles you have, you're going to banish the top cards of your deck.
Exactly.
Here's the thing. A lot of these cards have what's called Blood Debt. It can be played from that banished zone. So Jacob gets to kind of operate in this axis of yeah, my cards might not be as good as yours toe-to-toe, pound for pound, but when I'm getting my 4-card hands, my arsenal, plus my Blood Debt cards out of Banish, I can string together some absurd turns of 5, 6, 7, 8 cards being played. So when we start to get Shackle turns 4, 5, 6, and 7, if the game goes that long.
Oh, that's gross, yeah.
Look for it to get ramped up to 11.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, it's you could call it a double-edged sword, but I would just call it a sword because it looks like, oh, these Blood Debt, they could do some damage to me. But no. You're just going to play them, and you're going to do damage to your opponent.
And that's why you see some of the Prism players take the route of trying to fatigue Prism Chane.
Yes,
actually. And what I mean by that is they're just trying to run them out of cards in their deck so they can't do anything. Because if the Chane player is going to banish 1 card, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, plus you're drawing 4, and it starts at some of their cards draw extra cards or banish extra cards, you're going to run out of a deck pretty fast. By turn 7 or 8, you've got nothing left. And if the Prism player is standing, it doesn't matter how much life they have left. If they're standing at all, they're going to win the game.
Yeah. And here we have a Unmovable coming in to match this Shrill of Skull form, which is just going to just block it out. The Shrill does have Go again from the Chane effect, so you know we will definitely be seeing a follow-up here. Whether it's from the Banish Zone or not is yet to be seen. We do have an altered card.
I don't know if y'all heard that in the background, but we have the entire production team back here watching this on the TV that we were watching with it, and every single person at the same time was just, what is that?
It is something into an Unhallowed Rites, right?
Armada is having way too much fun back here over to the side. But whatever this token is, I need one.
It's a Runechant token.
Yeah, it's a Runechant token, but whatever this is, I need one.
So for the audience, this is a Grasp of the Arknight activation, creating a Runechant token into an Unhallowed Rites. That's what this is. So I have a feeling we'll be seeing this particular art for a little bit for this match.
This is now my favorite Runechant token of all time. Jacob, you're my hero.
That is, it's.
No, don't go. We just got you. You're so beautiful.
I love it. I hope the chat appreciates that
as much as we do.
That
hopefully.
token as much as we do. Yeah. So it looks like Jacob is going to be passing and taking 1 Blood Debt here.
It looks like that's going to be a Sigil in a turn for Pheano. That really, I mean, if you didn't know before, seeing Unmovable and cards like that, and you know the Soul Shields and everything else in his deck already, and the Sink Belows, this fully tells me he is planning for the long game. So strap in. We're going to be here a bit.
He has joined the Turtle Club, and he's ready to turtle up.
Do you think he's turtly enough for the Turtle Club?
Exactly. I'm so glad you got the reference.
Never seen the movie, but I gotcha.
I also have never seen the movie.
I might be a Dana Carvey fan. But
yeah. Well, yeah.
Again, showing my age.
Yeah. Possibly both of our ages, but you know, I think we hide it well, not very well, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not very
Just listen to me talk for a few hours; it'll come out.
Oh yeah. Anyone who watches my stuff know that I make a lot of like 80s and 90s references. So
those were the good old days.
Yeah. So it looks like we do have a hit off of this Soul Shackle. Ooh, this is a spicy card. This is a Soul Reaping. It's going to be, it has an alternate cost here where you can banish a card from your hand instead of paying its cost. And if that card banished from hand has Blood Debt, you gain a resource for every card done this way.
Yeah, Pheano, we're going to read it too. This is one of those cards that it's very powerful, it's very great as you just explained, but it is exceptionally powerful in this matchup.
I love this card. It's one of those weird cards where it's a legendary card in function, but not in rarity, right? So you can only have one of these in your deck. So that's really important to note, you know, for Pheano, right? So this is the Soul Reaping, right? Doesn't have more than one, he just has a Soul Reaping. But this is a fantastic card, and we can see that resource floating there in Jacob's pitch zone, and that's from the effect of Soul Reaping, you know, banishing that Bounding Demagon from hand and generating that resource. Another little effect of Soul Reaping is that if it's attacking a hero that has a card in their soul, it does have Go again, which is pretty nice.
Nice little player for Pheano, though. That card in the soul is no longer there.
Yeah. Yeah. Now it is a Spectral Shield token. So we do have a double block from hand. This will be blocking all of the Soul Reaping. He is stacking up a lot of cards in his Banish Zone, kind of prepping for a really big turn. And, you know, as a Chane player, you kind of want to do that, right? You want to amass these cards that are functionally in your hand, right? You can play them from the Banish Zone if you meet the certain requirements. A lot of them, you can't play them until you play a non-attack action. But yeah, they're just great to kind of to ramp up here.
Yeah,
this is a blue Wartune Herald coming in.
Yeah, this is kind of the hedge, right? Like there's Wartune Heralds, we'll get some damage in when we can, but you'll see Jacob, he started to realize as well the way this game's going to play out, right? Like he knows that Pheano has joined the Turtle Club,
exactly.
as you said. He's turtling up, he's trying to fatigue, so
yeah,
you will see him maybe not be as aggressive with some of these blood debt cards as you'll see in some of the other matches where he's more worried about his life total. So what he's going to do here is he's going to kind of stock up, because here's the thing, if Jacob's only attacking 1 or 2 times a turn for like, somewhere between 3 and 6 damage,
yeah,
that's doable for Pheano. He can take that and either negate all of that damage or only take a little bit and still make some headway. But when Jacob starts having the turns where it's, hey, I'm attacking you the 3rd time, I'm attacking you the 4th time, and all of these amounts are for 2, 3, 4.
Exactly.
Then that starts to put a lot of pressure on Pheano's hand at being able to stop any of the damage coming through.
Yeah, it's a very like tempered playstyle, right? You're taking a little bit of blood debt here to set up for success later, and that's what seasoned Chane players know, right? So a lot of what's going to be going on here is going to be determined a little bit by what you hit from your Soul Shackle, right? As well as what you draw into. And what he drew into, this one was the Howl from Beyond. If this is a red one, it's going to give a good old +3, cost 2 resources. So he's setting up for a fairly tall turn here instead of a wide turn, but it could also be wide here. This is a non-attack action, and because it's a non-attack action, he will be able to play those Bounding Demigons and that Unhallowed Rites from his Banish Zone if he wants to go that route this turn.
Super important, that distinction, right? It's going to be able to allow those Bounding Demigons to come out of Banish if you want. Also, there's still that Rosetta Thorn that we haven't been able to talk about yet.
Yeah.
This game, and going non-attack actions into attack actions makes that a lot better too. This is going to be really, really good against Pheano Black, because presenting that kind of attack where you have physical and arcane damage makes it harder. So this is going to be the first turn where Pheano's really, really put to the test. So he's going to have a 7 power attack here. So this is going really tall,
yes.
right? This does have Go Again, because you see Chane kind of activated right there. It's like letting him remind, it's a physical reminder, this has Go Again. So the next attack is either going to be, another small attack or possibly Rosetta Thorn here that that attacks in 2 different ways, right? It attacks for 2 physical damage and 2 arcane damage. So now you're starting spreading stuff out. You got 1 big attack, 1 small attack, and another different small attack.
Yeah, 100%. And we do see a pretty big block here from Pheano, opting to block with 2 cards, blocking out 6 here. I do love the the physical representation on the board here with that Chane, like you mentioned. Just saying, hey, this does have Go Again, just to be completely clear. I love the really, really tight plays here at the Pro Tour.
I mean, the Chane turns are probably some of the most complicated, if not the most complicated turns, especially later in the game. You'll see 10 cards hit the combat Chane, and that's just from Chane side of the board, not to mention the blocking and activations on the other side. So now we see a Captain's Call come out.
Yeah, so Captain's Call is a modal card, right? It has a couple different effects. I would be willing to bet that he chose Go Again on this one. And so it could either pump for 2 or give, in this case, a yellow version, a cost 1 or less Go Again. And we have the Bounding Demagon coming in from the Banish Zone. It will get pumped up by its own effect because it's played from the Banish Zone, but it will also have Go Again. And it looks like Jacob is like, you know what, let's follow that up with my other Bounding Demagon. Let's go Abounding.
Yeah, 2 options here. He could Bounding Demagon for free, or he could use that card in his hand to pitch to Rosetta Thorn, doing the 2 different kinds of damage like we talked about. I kind of like this play. I kind of agree, Jacob, here. It does put a little damage through. It does get a different attack, but this allows him to arsenal up. And this is what he's looking for. He's looking for turns like this. This turn seemed to be like a big, wide turn, a lot of things going on, and that's only on Soul Shackle 3 so far. I'm sorry, that was only for 2 as well. We're going into the 3rd Soul Shackle territory. This is where it starts to get big. He's got 4 cards in his hand. He's got an arsenal, and now he's going to go ahead and Soul Shackle. Only a Bounding Demagon added here, kind of a little bit of a miss.
A bit of a whiff there. Hitting 1 is still not bad, but it's not exactly what you want to see. As Chane, you want to play for the long game, especially like in this not too long. That sweet spot, like you mentioned earlier, when you're getting to those 5, 6, 7 Soul Shackles, where you can have these absurd turns. And if you go through too many early, you might whiff more later. Yeah, and that can be rough.
Oh, that's 100%. That's a really good point. And I do want to point out this: out of all the mills that we've seen so far, Subs deck and all the cards we've seen, We haven't seen an Art of War yet.
That's true.
The card that we're really looking for Jacob Baugh. When an Art of War comes up for one of these turns where there's Bounding Demigons, there's cards in Banished that can come, there's 4 cards at hand and a card in Arsenal, those are going to be the turns where Jacob's really going to be pushing his advantage. So
this is a Captain's Call that is getting +2. So instead of go again like last time, we do have a +2, which is indicated by that die there. Instead, this Mauvrian Skies is going to be given go again. It will also give an on-hit effect. This is a Ghostly Visit for 6 that will have go again from the Mauvrian Skies, as well as an on-hit effect of generating a single Rune Chant token. I would love to see that Rune Chant token hit the field again, because that was a magnificent alt art. But it does have go again. So just on board here, if you're Pheano, you're like, okay, we have this big attack coming in. He also has Bounding Demagon that he can play following this up if he wants. He also has that Rosetta Thorn, like you mentioned, if he wants. Yeah, I mean, he's threatening a little bit more damage here.
Yeah, so we're starting this turn off like we did the last turn, right? We're starting off tall.
Yep.
We're getting a big attack here. This is 6. This is going to either take multiple cards or a defensive reaction like we're seeing.
Yep. And so, yeah, this Soul Shield will be blocking for 6, and it will go into the Soul, and we have that Bounding Demagon coming in.
And it's going to have the Mauvrian Skies.
Yep. Yeah. It will have that little bonus from its own effect, so I believe this one's going to be coming in for 2, which isn't, nothing. Blocking with the Herald of Erudition, and and then followed up with good old 2/2 Rosetta Thorn.
Yeah, one of the better weapons ever printed, especially at token rarity. It might be the best.
It's quite good. Once again, I don't think that's very arguable either. I think it's just like one of the best weapons in the entire game. It pushes 4 damage for 1. And it's not just raw damage, it's like split damage. So it's like 4 difficult to deal with damage.
Yeah, we see that we have Nullrune Gloves up here, which has Arcane Barrier 1. And for everybody at home, since this is an instance of Arcane Barrier 2, and it's only a single instance of 2, you can only prevent 1 of it. You can't be like, all right, push 2 resources in here, all Arcane Barrier 1 twice on the same instance. You can't do that. You can only do it 1 per instance.
Yeah.
And so the instance of being 2, that means only 1 damage will get through.
It also should be noted that the Crown of Reflection does have the ability to prevent some arcane damage as well. Okay. So this is good and bad, right?
Right.
3 hits, and then also we are Art of War. So got some good hits here, but also 1 less Art of War that you have to play with.
So that was the card that we're talking about. Really looking out for this game is going to be super important. Every one of the Art of War turns seems like they're just the best turns from Chane. 3 hits though here, pretty big. We got a full hand from Jacob, and you may have noticed Pheano hasn't really done much this game, but that's by design.
Exactly. I mean, you just want your Chane opponent to deck themselves. You want to basically be like, hey, if you're just going to keep shackling every turn, go for it. Like, you're going to be drawn up, you're going to be shackling, you're just going to burn through your deck, and all I have to do is live, right? That's my strategy. I live until you die.
And Pheano's doing a really good job of it. I love the way he's holding. You see, he's holding his hand with, all I can see is the defensive values of my card.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care what they are. I don't care what the name is. I don't care what they do. I want to know how much this is blocked for.
Yep.
How much life can I gain?
Yep. In his head, he's just like, I block. What are you going to do? I block it. I block it.
I can't block. I block twice.
How much is that coming for? It's coming in for 4? Okay, I block it.
Block it. Here's an Art of War.
This is Art of War from hand. Art of War, you mentioned it earlier, but it's just such a awesome card in Chane because it typically has a downside of banishing an attack action, but you banish an attack action that you can then play with Chane, and it's basically no downside, right? You get your draw 2, and I'm not entirely sure what the other effect is. Possibly go again. I'd be willing to bet go again here. Just a good old draw 2 go again, which is setting up for a pretty wide turn. Oh, maybe it looks like a +1 here. We still have the 3 cards in the banish zone here. So, I mean, Jacob does have a lot of options here. Looks like we have, let's see, motioning that the Spectral Shield is going to absorb.
I think this is sort of the extra power from the Art of War that was played after the sync.
So yeah, the Art of War was played
after the
kind
sync,
of as
before damage.
Yeah, exactly, as an attack reaction, but it's an instant, right?
Yeah, it's a little combat trick.
Exactly, right. So he's setting up the rest of his turn, but also pumping this one. That makes sense. I think that's a great use of this, just to push a little bit of damage through, but Pheano's like, hey, no, I don't want to take any damage here. And then Jacob's like, okay, well, let me see how I want to follow this up, right?
Yeah, still got a bunch of cards in his hand, a bunch of cards in banish here as well. How do we? This is where the Chane players make their money. This is where they set themselves apart. These are the turns that give me nightmares because I don't think I could ever sequence this correctly.
Yeah, it's a lot of decision points. So this is a Shadow Verser. Shadow Verser is a staple, obviously, for Chane here. It's a card that you can play from your Banish Zone. It has an alternate cost or an additional cost, I should say, of banishing another card with Blood Debt from your hand to give the Shadow Verser go again, which Jacob does. He banishes these Seeping Shadows from hand to give the Shadow Verser go again. So this is just shaping up to be a very, very wide turn here. And give it the Art of War, pumping all these attacks by 1 is going to be great for how wide this turn is going to be. Yeah. Jacob still has cards in hand, so as a TCG player, I would say he still has gas. Yeah, he still has gas.
LDs, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this turn is these are the turns that he's looking for. It's going to ramp up, and there's still a lot to go on. He's still got the Soul Shackle activation. Like I said, sequencing this turn is difficult. You see the dice kind of strewn everywhere. It looks like that Lego thing we're talking about really just got dumped on the board.
Yep. So continues to go wide. Seeping Shadows is going to pump up his next attack and then also give it go again. It itself has go again. At this point, I think, I was going to say, we need to look at how many non-attacks have been played this turn and how big this Riftbind is going to be. So we have, Seeping Shadows. We had Mauvrian Skies. The Art of War doesn't count. The Art of War is an instant, so it won't count for this. It counts non-attacks here. But it's still a pretty good hitting.
He's counting the Art of War not as the
exactly.
trigger, but
the
the plus one
from the effect, not the +1 for it being.
I'm having some PTSD here of the old school Riftbinds that we got in the pre-nerf Chane
when
we had
the 12 Riftbinds.
Yeah, and that's where the pre-nerf days, you couldn't actually really do this strategy against the good Chane players because what they would do is they would just stack the bottom of their deck with a bunch of Seeds of Agony and Riftbinds, and they would just Seeds of Agony 5 times in a turn and then attack you with a 12-power Riftbind that's also dealing 5 Arcane.
And that also summons a big old Ursa demon. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wait, there's more. Oh, there it is. We got it. Second sighting of the...
Love that token.
So this is... Okay. So this is going to be where if there are resources, you could maybe do multiple Nulver and stuff here, but I don't think we're going to be able to because this is an instance of 1, an instance of 2 Arcane, and then an instance of 2 physicality.
Yep. So yeah, exactly. So 3 Arcane and 2, and
then now it's bounding Demigod that's getting pumped up as well. This is what I'm talking about. This is how Chane is so difficult. I have no idea if I would have sequenced the turn the same way. Here, it's so difficult to play these turns correctly.
It's a lot of cards. It is a lot of cards. Chane is, if you are very good at making decisions when you have many options, Chane might be a hero for you.
Do you like chess? If you like chess,
yes.
This is the game for you. I don't like chess, so I don't. But
I like how chess okay, and I feel the same way about Chane. Yeah,
I'm just not good at it, so I don't like it. Yeah.
Yeah. But worthy of note, we do have an Eclipse here being pitched. So that's an Eclipse that will be sent to the bottom of the deck at the end of the turn here.
And what's going on here is Pheano is actually asked to count the deck that's left over of Jacob Baugh because he needs to know how many more turns do I need to survive here because we're going to be going into the 5th Shackle turn. So you're going to lose 5 more cards. The turn after that, you're going to lose 6. Right, so that's 11.
Yeah.
Then you draw the cards. That's 2 8-card hands. That's 19 cards. So if you have more than 19 cards, it means there's another turn after that. So if I can survive for 3 more turns after that, then you're out of cards.
Yeah. It is math time.
Well, I'm not a math scientist, but I can do that simple geometry.
Mathematician, math wizard. So we do have another block. Pheano's just like, yep, just blocking it. I need to block it. But Jacob's doing a good job. Even though Pheano has joined the Turtle Club, Jacob is doing a good job of pushing that damage through. I would say it's fairly successful. If I'm the Chane player here, I'm still pretty happy, right? You're ripping your opponent's hand every single turn, and you're still applying this pressure and this damage. And
it could be going better, but it could definitely be going way worse. For sure.
Right, 100%, right? Yeah. I mean, if you have these turns where you're not dealing any damage at all, then it feels insurmountable. But at this point, I don't think it feels insurmountable at all. And I think that's exactly why, like you just said, Pheano picked up the deck and counted it out. So this one is Lead the Charge, which is another card that gives go again. Lead the Charge into a Command and Conquer. He's like, all right, here's a Command and Conquer with go again. No defense reactions for you. So here's some 6 damage. And also, it's going to threaten that card in your arsenal as well.
Yeah, there's also the extra action point here. So Chane actually has 2 action points here now for the rest of this turn. Because this had go again, and then go again, and then it gains the action point from the lead the charge.
Yep, and he's like, here's a good old 2-2. Would you like to take some arcane damage and also get poked by my thorn? And Jacob is like, yeah. I mean, that wasn't as wide of a turn as last turn, but still able to push some damage through, and arsenal for a future turn, which I think is where you want to be here. I think they're just kind of maybe calculating damage here. Got a judge coming in to talk about it. So like, while they're discussing here, if you're a Pheano, how are you feeling? All right.
So it sounds like this is an instance of a trigger being missed from Jacob Baugh's side of the board. I'm trying to find out what trigger it is that he missed. Yeah, it seems like he missed the Soul Shackle trigger. That's what I thought this turn. I kind of like that turn felt weird to me.
Right. We blasted right into
attacking.
He immediately slammed down that lead the charge without doing the Soul Shackles.
I was kind of confused because that never happened, and I thought I missed something somewhere because this is really weird, and you can see the kind of giggle from both players here because this isn't something that comes up very often. Nerves maybe getting in just a little bit. They're both 7-3, that same kind of situation that we led the round off with. A lot of high pressure. This is going to be down to what's going to happen here is when triggers are missed like this at this level, the question is asked to Pheano. This trigger, your opponent missed it. Would you like to put this trigger on the stack? Would you like this trigger to resolve, or would you like the trigger not to resolve? And we're going to have to wait to hear exactly if he did that or not.
It's a very interesting call because it's both good and bad, right? Like I said, double-edged sword. It does dump a bunch of stuff into the banish zone, which could give Jacob a very explosive turn, but at the same time, it could just help mill Jacob out here. And I do think that it looks like they're opting to not activate the trigger here.
And that's an interesting thing here because it would happen in the turn, the trigger would happen, and maybe Jacob draws a bunch of stuff, but Pheano's already blocked with his entire hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to mill the cards, but at the same time, it's like I kind of want to take my turn of not being hit in the face a bunch.
Right, exactly. And it was just a very, very interesting and a little bit of an awkward situation, but it was navigated. And it looks like Jacob is kind of counting the deck here as well. He's like, okay, how much do I have here?
The count got messed up a little bit, missing the trigger of the Soul Shackles.
So, I mean, we have a six count on the Shackles. I mean, there's a definite clock here, right? 6 is a decent number in this case. And if you're drawing up, 4 cards a turn plus the 6 Shackles, you're going through 10-ish, plus or minus a few cards a turn. We have a pretty significant half whiff. We got 3 hits, 3 whiffs here. The hits can push a little bit of damage here. We have Invert Existence, which can deal a little bit of arcane damage. We have another Bounding Demagon, and we have a Riftbind like we've seen before. This Invert Existence is a card we haven't seen yet. It's an instant that you can play from your banish zone, and it will let you banish cards from your opponent's discard pile. And if you banish an attack action and a non-attack action, it'll do 2 arcane damage. So, we can push a little bit of damage here.
Now, there is a threat that I'd like to mention that we need to start bringing up because of the length of this match, and we haven't really talked about it yet, but the clock is actually starting to come into factor here.
Yeah,
Pheano's still at 24. Jacob's at 30. Jacob's not going to die anytime soon until he runs out of cards. Like, Pheano's not going to kill him.
Right. I mean, yeah, this isn't like, a game of Flesh and Blood at your kitchen table that you can just play for 2 hours, right? There is a very relevant and important clock here that, I mean, it's not something we talk about or see a lot, but it is still very, very important, especially in these, like, Turtle Club matchups. And
I could never unhear that, by the way.
I know. But I mean, like I said, like it's one of those situations where this is something you really have to be mindful of, both as someone watching it, but also as a player, right? If you're Pheano here, you gotta be like, okay, so this is my strategy. My strategy is to block everything out. Can I still win if I do this? Do I have enough time to do this? And Jacob is here, like he's like, I'm trying to do the damage. I'm gonna throw out some damage. Here's 7 bounding Demagon with go again. Let's do it.
Yeah, Howl from Beyond, one of the ones that helps him go tall here. We've been seeing the way that he's been formulating his turns. He's been going tall first, right? He's been pumping up these big attacks, attacking for 6, attacking for 7, like you see here in this bounding Demagon. 7, a really good break point here. You can't block with just 2 cards. You need something else to add here. And here we go, yet again, Art of War in response.
Yeah, Art of War.
Banish, draw 2. And we're assuming it's going to be the +1 as well. So he's going to possibly get some damage through.
Yep, kind of using it as an attack reaction, but it is an instant. I would call Art of War the sauce. We have the sauce being layered on top of this delicious pasta.
You're making me really hungry.
I would love some Italian food. But I mean, Jacob's just setting up for another very wide and strong turn here.
If you really, really like it, I'm pretty sure you could find some decent Italian food here in Jersey or right across the street in New York.
Yeah, I would be willing to bet there's some fantastic places here in Jersey.
I had some, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday night, that was pretty decent.
I may have seen a picture.
Or 2, yeah. I'll tell you what, I'll give you the name of the restaurant. It was great.
All right. I'll take you up on that.
Maybe we could go after. What do you got? You got plans tonight?
Let's do it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, let's do it. And so we do have Jacob pondering how he wants to follow this up. So that Bounty Demagon did have a go again. We have the same Howl from Beyond. It's not actually the same one, but it is another one coming in for 3. Plus the 1 from the Art of War, so this is going to be a good old 4 pump. Plus another 2 on this Riftbind. So this Riftbind is going to get a pretty decent pump here. It's going to get pumped up from its own effect, from the non-attacks, and then from 3 from the Howl, and then 1 from the Art of War. So let's do some math.
Yeah,
oh, they did it. 9. There we go.
These are impressive Riftbinds. I haven't seen them this big in quite a while, and this is showing you the real power of the Chane deck of when it gets into these turns with this many shackles and how you beat the people, like what Pheano's doing, that are trying to fatigue you. Is you start setting up turns like this where, hey, I'm going to be attacking in ways that you actually just can't block enough. You can maybe block 12 a turn from hand, and maybe a couple of the your armor, but like your armor, that's only a 1-time use or a 2-time use at most. So you start to chip away at the life total, start to chip away at that armor, and starting to push a lot of damage here. Yeah,
these are quite chunky Riftbinds, and they're just chipping away. So if Jacob's going to end his turn here, he's going to end up taking a little bit of blood debt here.
Which he's fine with, right? He's not being attacked a lot by Pheano. Pheano, that's not how he's going to win the game. He's going to win the game when Jacob runs out of stuff, when he runs out of cards. He's going to be like, all right, now I attack you with the Herald, now I attack you with the Herald, or I'll attack you for 1 with the Spectral Shield as many times as I absolutely need to do.
Yep, and Pheano's just like, draw up, pass back, and we immediately have the Soul Shackle triggers. Looks like we have another 3 hits here, so total of 5 in the Banish Zone.
I think he's only going to get 1 more turn of Soul Shackling from here, too.
There's not a lot left, So we have, what is that, double Bounding Demagons, Unhallowed Rites. There's some spicy playable stuff here in the Banish Zone, so there could be a potentially, good turn depending on what Jacob has in hand, if he can get enough go again, right? So that's the kind of the key here. As someone who's played a decent amount of Chane, it's just how much go again can you line up for these, because these cards don't naturally have go again, minus the invert existence, which is an instant. So yeah, that's kind of like what you're looking at here. Jacob just needs to get some go again, line it on up. We have 1 from Chane that he can do, and whatever else he's got in his hand.
Yeah, these turns are very, very difficult for Jacob as well. How do you sequence them? We keep reiterating that, but I want everybody at home to know how difficult this actually is to make sure this is going. This looks like a red Minnow Wisdom's going to lead off, pumping up the next attack.
Yeah. I would like to note that Jacob also has... Okay, so this is Minnow Wisdom into a Belittle, revealing to go fetch up another Minnow Wisdom. Whether it's blue or red, I guess we will find out.
I actually don't even know if he's going to look. He might have already banished all of them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, he's going to pick up. We're gonna find out.
I think he might have just said, "I don't think I." Well, it does look like he's going to look. Okay.
Yeah. So he'll get to search and possibly fail to find.
He does have 1 left. Okay.
Oh, it's a blue one. All right. The blue
extra resources added in.
Yeah. The blue one in a go wide turn. is very useful, right?
Very ideal. Yeah, this is where, early in the games or in turns where you already have everything set up, you want to go get the red one so you can push a lot of extra damage like you started the turn off with.
Yeah.
But in turns like this where you're trying to go really, really wide and you want to use all the cards in your hand, you want to use all the cards that you have in your banish pile, go and get the blue one is really good because it gives you those 3 resources added to your hand while still using the stuff that you used earlier to go get this. Is actually pushing damage and stuff as well. So this puts the range of your turn at a much wider and higher spectrum than it was, right before you got this card.
Yeah, and Jacob does have Time Skipper still, right? He's got like some action points kind of in the back pocket that he can use. It does cost 3 to activate, but he just, conveniently grabbed a 3-pitch card. So, I mean, that could be a possibility if he doesn't have enough Go Again in his hand. But I mean, in any case, this is still like a 6 belittle, right? It's not a little belittle. It is a decent.
It's a little belittle that could.
Yes, exactly. The little belittle that could. We do have a 3 block coming in.
Try saying that 5 times fast.
Little belittle that could. I'm not going to try it. Yeah. I did it once, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Nope.
I see where this is going. So the follow up here. So Pheano, looking at his hand, it looks like he is not holding a hand full of instants, which is good. We do have an Unhallowed Rites going to be coming in for 4 with Go Again from Chane's hero ability. 4, naturally a great break point in Flesh and Blood. Breaking that 3 block thing that you see a lot in a lot of Flesh and Blood cards.
It looks like he's going to be adding a Seeping Shadows to the bottom of his deck as well.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta line your deck as much as you can when you're banishing like 8 now.
That's what he's thinking of. He's like, is this actually going to be a card that I draw this game or not?
And that's why those Unhallowed Rites are like really, really solid, especially in these like turtle up matchups, where you can just keep putting cards on the bottom of the deck. Every single card he does, they do add up and they will be relevant. And so, he's like, Seeping Shadows, slam that on the bottom. Still got 4 coming in. Let's see, is that an Arclight Sentinel in his hand, in Pheano's hand?
I think that is, yes.
So Arclight Sentinel is interesting. It's very interesting in this situation. So Pheano has he still has 3 on his Tunic. I think he's possibly mathing it up. It's 4, 4 coming in. Yeah, this is a fairly pivotal turn here. We're coming down to the wire. Even though the life totals are large, the deck size for Chane is not. It will be gone in like 2 turns or less. Yeah.
Have to see how these players played this out. Such a pivotal turn in this game.
And once again, like, we're on the clock. Right? Like,
that's a really good point. We're getting very late into the round. We don't have I can't see the clock from here, but it's getting late.
Yeah, I mean, no matter how you shake it, we're down to the wire, right? It's go time.
Yeah, you could feel the urgency here from Jacob. Their backs are against the wall in this tournament. His back's against the wall in this game. He's trying to figure out, can I push through enough this turn?
So yeah, it looks like Pheano's just going to eat that 4. We see a lovely Rune Chant token coming out on the field. So Jacob's like, all right, let's push some split damage here. He doesn't really care that much about the blood debt. He's at such a high life total that the life total isn't really going to matter all that much here. So there's another 4 Ghostly Visit. So that's a 4 and a Rune Chant. So 4 and 1.
Yeah, putting some pressure on Pheano here, attacking 2 different ways and 2 different axes. Looks like that's going to come through as well. Pheano down to 8.
Yeah.
Looks like it's going to be Arsenal and pass.
I think it's just kind of an awkward hand. Right, so instead of trying to Arclight Sentinel one of those attacks, he's going to be like, okay, I'm going to Arclight your next turn. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I mean, Jacob does still have those Time Skippers.
Yeah, this is something that's going to be very, very big. That's a really good point.
Yeah. And those Time Skippers just give raw action points. Like, they don't give Go Again. And so those action points are really good for popping Spectra.
Yeah, so Spectra, like we were talking about earlier, it's like when an attack attacks this, you can see the last line says, the attack does not resolve. So if the attack has Go Again, the attack never resolves, so Go Again never triggers, and you'll lose your action point. Those are very different than actual action points. So if you use Time Skippers, you have action points, you can keep going after this.
Exactly. Which is why, as a Chane player, or many other decks as well, as we saw with Starvo and Matt Rogers, it's why you put Time Skippers in against Prism. Here we have well, not many, exactly 8 cards from the top of the deck. We have some spicy stuff here, but a big old 5 whiff here. So we got an Eclipse, which is something that's always good to note, right? Can you play the Eclipse? You need to play 6 cards with Blood Debt before you can do so. But we got, we got 5 other cards that are just going straight into the Banish Zone.
Yeah, Jacob's going to try to be going pretty wide here. I think he can sense that the end is near, possibly. If he puts together a good enough turn, this might be able to get it done.
Yeah, looking at Jacob's hand, he has a Shout of Ursa, which is great for going wide. He has a Lead the Charge, also great for going wide. He is probably going to lead the turn with a Lead the Charge.
Yeah, really good card against Arc-like Sentinel as well. He doesn't have to use 3 resources plus his Time Skippers now.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like you said, he'll get an action point, not go again. That's really important to note. Lead the Charge does not give the attack go again. You just get the action point.
Yeah, Lead the Charge, a card that's definitely become way more popular in Flesh and Blood since Starvo really becoming big because it brought Prism to such a forefront of the meta. It became so important to be able to deal with cards like Arc-like Sentinel, because that was actually like the big haymaker of the format. It's like you'd reveal your cards to Starvo, set up this huge turn, and they'd be like, all right, well, in response, the combat chain is open. I'm going to Arc-like Sentinel you. Your attack doesn't matter anymore. Now you don't even get go again off the Starvo activation, so your turn's over. And it's just good in some other spots too. So other decks are having to pick up this tech that Lead the Charge was making its way into some Starvo decks, and now you're seeing it in decks like Chane.
Yeah, I love Lead the Charge. It's been one of my favorite cards for quite a while. Came out in Arcane Rising, and I love just jamming it in a lot of different decks, and I'm glad to see it here. So we have Lead the Charge into Howl from Beyond, into Popping Your Spectra is what we see here.
Yeah, Rosetta Thorn going to go ahead and knock down the Arc-Light Sentinel, so Jacob is free to start doing whatever he wants this turn and attacking the actual hero Prism.
Yep, now he can more or less attack with impunity. He did tick up Chane, so he activated Chane, giving the next Shadow or Runeblade attack or action go again, and now he's got 9 Soul Shackles. That likely won't matter all that much since he's only got like 3 cards left in his deck. But we got a big old chunky Bounding Demigod coming in here for 7 with go again.
It's a 7 power Bounding Demigod coming in here. This is nothing to sneeze at, so it looks like we're going to get at least one. We're going to get the 7 is actually going to get blocked fully here. It's a block for 3 plus a Sink Below. 7 a really good break point, but Pheano was up to the task. Yeah,
Pheano opting to use the Sink Below effect, sinking card to the bottom and drawing, which, that's pretty good if you have a 0 block instant in your hand.
Yeah, anything that's not blocking for 3 or not a defense reaction, you just kind of don't want it here. So Sink Below is really good at this point in time in the game of filtering out your hand quite a bit to make sure that you're getting the most impactful defensive card here. You're going to be blocking for 3 or playing a defensive reaction with all of your cards. So Sink Below doing a really good job of making sure that Pheano survives this turn, because that's the biggest thing here, is can he survive this onslaught that Jacob's putting this turn?
This is a veritable onslaught. I mean, that's what Chane does, right? Chane is the go wide king. He's just like, if I can get to this point, I just got all the things. I'm just going to go as wide as possible and try to slam it down. So here we do have the Time Skippers activation, like we talked about. Time Skippers will give 2 action points. It itself costs an action.
So you gain 1.
You basically gain 1.
Yeah,
you net 1. So Jacob is kind of like floating 2 action points here, right? He can do 2 things. It looks like he grabbed a Ghostly Visit, which is going to be coming in for 4. He's going to float 1 resource from that yellow Shrill here. Jacob is noting that, okay, I have activated Chane this turn. Let's keep everything clean here. They definitely want to keep the go again, like the numbers in check, because like I said before, the amount of times you can go again is super important for Chane.
Looks like another Sink Below here, another way to just
block it out.
Get some of these break points, right? These 5 power attacks, 4 power attacks, things that are harder to block correctly. Sink Below does a very good job of making your cards a little more flexible in doing that.
Yeah, and he's like, looks like we're checking out some numbers, doing some more math here.
Yeah, that's the hard part, right? With Chane, as your opponent and as the player, it's like keeping up with everything. And so, Rift Binds at the end of the turn. It's like, what if I actually, we broke the actual combat chain this turn. It still counts as stuff that happened before. So how much is this for? What else has happened this turn? I don't know if I can keep up with all this.
Yes. The combat chain and all of the non-attacks can get a little messy. Either way, I think this Riftbind is going to be coming in for a good chunk of damage here. Jacob still kind of eyeing his banish zone. I mean, he does have that invert existence that can always be played as an instant. You know, can never really count that out. We do have a block from Pheano. Like, it's really down to it, right? Jacob has 3 cards in his hand, and he's gonna like bottom and then draw 4, leaving 2 left.
Yeah, so he's going to have the 4 cards that are left in his hand, plus those 3 cards that are banished from Blood Debt, and then any of the cards that are left in his deck that are also Blood Debt will be banished. I was supposed to say we saw the 2, so they are. Yeah, I was supposed to say they both are Blood Debt. So there is a chance for possible Ursur going forward. I'm not sure if we can get there just yet. I have to see all the cards.
Yeah,
I think we're just short, actually. There's a few other things that he can do this turn, but Pheano's down to 8.
So let me see for Ursur. You just have to play 6 cards with Blood Debt. So he has 4 in the banish zone, and he has at least 2 in hand. He does have a Shadow of Ursur in hand, as well as, I think, a Seeping Shadows. But do you have enough action points to do that? I mean, that's the real question here.
Yeah, it looks like Pheano might be responding to Soul Shackle trigger here.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what's going on here.
Another Arclight Sentinel in hand.
Yeah. I mean, could shut down the turn possibly. I mean, these are the decisions that are going to make and break this game. Like, the outcome of this game is going to be determined in the next, few moments. So we do have the Soul Shackle activation here. So now we have 0 cards in Jacob's deck. We do have, kind of just everything on display here. We're going to start with a Shadow of Ursur, banishing the Shadow of Ursur from hand. So this is going to be 2 with Go Again, which is, kind of where you want to be.
And you want to start with this, too, as well, right? It's a 2-power attack, so your 3-power blocks, you're actually kind of leaking a damage here. So it's not something you really want to block, but, like, you're kind of worried about, right? You're at 8. So this is a 4th of your life till you see another Shadow of Ursur here. There's 2 invert existence. I actually think Jacob might have what it takes to push through this turn. So that's what Pheano's thinking, too, with a block here.
So one important thing to note here for Flesh and Blood, when you run out of cards in your deck, you're not dead, right? You still get to keep playing. And so if Jacob is able to pull off a really nice turn here and summon Ursur, he's going to still have that Ursur just kind of like jamming around, right? And Ursur attacks for 6, can apply a lot of pressure. And, Pheano's at 8. Even if he's able to survive this, he'll have that Ursur here.
And so, like, that's generally the way this turn's going to play out. If Jacob attacks him enough times and Pheano is somehow able to survive this turn, Ursur is going to happen at the end. Pheano will be out of cards, won't have a way to attack the Ursur, will go back over to Jacob, and he's going to have Ursur to be able to attack and possibly do something else with.
Yeah. The fact that he has an Arclight Sentinel in hand makes things
awkward.
A little awkward, right? And so, like, being at now 6, it looks like he took the 2 from the Shadow of Ursur here. We have a Seeping Shadows. So Seeping Shadows will give a little bonus and go again to the next attack action. But in response to that, Pheano drops down the Arclight Sentinel. Now we have a situation where Jacob has to think about where he goes from here. Because of that Arclight Sentinel, we talked about Spectra. If he attacks with a attack action, it'll pop that Spectra and then just end the turn.
Players coming down to the wire, using up all their time here in the round, all their cards in their deck. So close.
Still
close game.
Still 2 invert existences. Does Jacob have any cards in his hand? I think he might.
I think he has 1 card left.
Because, like, invert existence can still do damage. Like, if Pheano has no cards in hand and no resources available, that's 4 arcane damage from invert existence. And he's at 6. I mean, 2 more. Got some do some math here.
Pheano also has no cards in his hand, which means the invert existences are just pure damage. The arcane barrier is not a thing anymore. Oh, I was supposed to say, is Does the crown actually have the you can sacrifice to prevent arcane damage?
Oh,
or is it an actual arcane barrier?
You mean does it have? I know what you're talking about. I don't recall off the top of my head. It might just be it might be arcane barrier. So we have bounding coming here. It's going to pump itself for one. Also, Seeping Shadows is also going to pump it, but it doesn't matter. It just pops the Spectra. And then he's kind of looking at his invert existences.
Yes, it does look like it's going to be a pitch to use the invert existence. If you know helping out, he's like, well, here we go. It doesn't matter what we move as long as we get that done. It does look like the Ursur is going to be brought here. So this is kind of like the turn we talked about. It's going to get him down to a really, really low life total, but the Ursur is going to be left, and there's 2 cards left over that were pitched that are going to go back to Jacob's hand. So he's going to be able to do something like possibly attack with Ursur and possibly Rosetta Thorn, something along those lines.
Yeah, so just to confirm, that Crown of Reflection does indeed have Arcane Barrier. So, yeah, was not able to...
It's not Null Rune.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, no, it is kind of like Null Rune. It doesn't have the other one where you can just do free roll it. But like we talked about, we have this Ursur slamming down, and you know, threatening a lot of damage here.
Yes, Ursur does have go again.
You got. I mean, I know Chane used to be a boogeyman, but I always love seeing Ursur come down. It's a really cool part of this game. Like these allies.
Yes, finding ways to still bring in Ursur without Seeds of Agony as well. I mean, it's a slog now. It used to be a lot easier. Now it's actually something that you really, really have to work super, super hard for. What Jacob's going to do is make an Arcane here, and then it's going to leave him over with a action point to be able to use that Rosetta Thorn.
Yep, 100%. And he's coming in for 2. So 2 Arcane from the Rosetta Thorn, 1 from the Rune Chant, and then 2 physical.
So it looks like we're going to have a pitch here, possibly using those Null Rune gloves. Yep.
So it looks like he's kind of motioning to that. He's like, okay, we're gonna prevent some of this damage here.
Yeah, it puts Pheano down to 1. That Ursur's still there.
Oh.
So he's going to gain 3. That's a sigil.
That's a sigil. So yeah, he's gonna go back up to 4. I mean, Pheano's doing a good job of like clinging on to life here.
Yeah, but the writing's on the wall here. He's going to be able to Soul Shackle multiple times, Ursur every turn, and then attack with Rosetta Thorn every turn. So he's going to be taking up almost everything. Is that an Arclight Sentinel almost here?
Yes, that is an Arclight Sentinel. So it looks like Arclight Sentinel. I think one of the instant speed auras. Also,
Fate Foreseen?
Fate Foreseen, yeah, I think that's a Fate Foreseen. Possibly either a Shimmers or a...
Parable?
Yeah. I think that is a Shimmers
Yeah,
as
I'm not sure. All right,
yeah.
Let's see how they play this out.
It is a very interesting hand, though. He's definitely got a lot of block value here.
He's still got to navigate this extremely closely, though.
Yeah.
Yep. Here we go again.
Yeah, I mean, this is... no, sorry. This is what you want to do, right? Yeah, you're just going to be like, we're going to grasp, we're going to Rune Chant and throw Ursur at you.
Yep, Ursur does have go again. Chane's activated ability was activated, so this is attacking for 6.
Yep.
It's Soul Shield from hand.
Yeah.
Or from Arsenal, sorry.
This is like very interesting. Like he's at fatigue, right? Jacob is at fatigue, but he's still able to come in with Ursur with go again because of Chane, as well as activate the Grasp of the Arknight and throw in Rosetta Thorn. Rosetta Thorn just costing 1 is a beating. So even though Jacob's at fatigue, he can come in for 9 damage a turn, basically.
Yeah, the Rosetta Thorn's only going to ever be attacking for the 2 physical because he's not going to be able to play the non-attack actions that he needs to be able to do here to make sure that they actually happen as well. But
100%.
That, along with Ursur and making a Soul Shackle, a Rune Chant every turn is going to push a lot of extra damage through.
Yeah, and so it looks like we have a Prism activation to generate a Spectral Shield.
A block from Grasp of the Arcanine here.
Yep. It definitely will help prevent that arcane damage. Going up to just 12 Soul
Wash,
Shackles.
rinse, and repeat here. Looks like Ursa's going to attack.
Yep. I mean, this is Jacob's turn now. From now on, like he's just gonna exactly like you said, rinse and repeat, right? Got a little block here. I do believe this is so we have a 3 block, and I think the first card was a 2 block if I remember right. So this is going to be 5, and Spectral Shield gets pops. Yeah. So 5, 1 goes through. Or blocking 5, 1 goes through. Spectral Shield gets
Pheano down to 2. Here comes the Rosetta with a +1. So it's 2 and 1, not 2 and 2. So it looks like a block and then a pitch.
Yep.
So it's going to be able to block the damage, stop the arcane. So we're just going to do this all over again.
Yep. And he's actually doing a good job of chipping Pheano down. Chipping's at 2. Pheano's at 2 now.
Yep. All right. Shackle number 13.
This is
lucky number 13 here. Let's see if this one gets it done.
Exactly. This is kind of brutal. Like Pheano successfully fatigued Chane, but on the last turn,
Ursa showed up to save the day. Yeah.
Like clutch Ursa just coming on in. I mean, it just shows how powerful these allies are.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're well worth the effort.
Yeah, looks like we're getting the double block here, kind of what we've been having every turn.
Yep, double block. Like Pheano basically Jacob basically just needs Pheano to have an awkward hand, right? A hand that has a bunch of no blocks or instances or something like that.
It looks like we're actually getting an attack here from Jacob, the card that's been left over besides the Minnowism every turn.
Yeah, very.
And that gets the last 2 cards out of Pheano's hand. Pheano's going to be able to kill the Ursa.
Yeah. So we have, with Ursa dead, does Pheano have it?
Well, I was going to say, hold on one moment. It looks like we have a judge coming over. Maybe the players have actually run out of time.
Like we mentioned before, like time is a very real thing. And this game has...
It is not a construct. It is actually real.
Yes. Not a figment of my imagination. A very real thing.
All right, so it looks like the players are going to work it out.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get confirmation on this just now. I've got the judge talking in here. It does sound like the players are going to decide to draw this round, so there will be no winner for this round. And I don't know about you, I am worn out after that long slog of a game between these 2 games that we were doing. What a crazy game of Chane going through the entire deck and multiple turns of Ursa.